Gal fans, my name is Kay Shackleton. I'm the Movie Gal. I'm in my office right now, but last Saturday I had a live in-person interview with Ted Neeley. Ted Neeley was a star of Jesus Christ Superstar, and he's on his farewell tour. So it was my last chance to get to interview him. And boy, was that a great interview. And you'll see it in just a moment, but I want to do the introductions. Alongside me doing the interviews, and we're behind the camera, is the other movie gal. Can you believe there's another movie gal? Well, there is. Her name is Barbara Vogel, and she's been my best friend for many years, and she's also my writing partner. And when we interviewed Ted, we interviewed him with his partner, who's his business partner, Frank Munoz. And Frank is a film producer, a music producer, and also tours with Metallica. How cool is that? And he's also interviewed with David James. David James is a esteemed still photographer, takes still photographs on set. He was there when Jesus Christ Superstar was made, and he's worked with Steven Spielberg and Tom Cruise. So here we go. Here's a wonderful interview. Enjoy. All right, guys. Nice to meet you all.
You too. Thanks for having us.
Okay, so Ted, this is your farewell tour. What kind of memories come to you about this long life of the film that brought you to stardom in the first place, and now you're making that last tour across the nation to meet your fans? What kind of feelings does that bring up and memories?
Absolutely incredible. And actually, guys, if you want, I can just answer this one and then we'll be finished. Go for it. Take me an hour and a half.
Go for it.
We're no, fluid. But it is unbelievable. No matter what, 52 years later, and people are still coming to talk and see this movie, and I'm amazed. If anybody had told me when I was going to school, well, when you're getting ready to retire, all you'll be doing is just talking and signing your name, yeah, right. It's amazing. I can't believe it. I'm blessed. I'm the luckiest man alive because the way things happened for me to get into this stuff. I had no training at all, and suddenly I'm there, So I am the luckiest man alive.
And, I know that you had this incredible journey with some really important people that starred in this film with you. I was wondering if you could describe some of your relationships with those people that, like Yvonne Elliman, and there's so many people, and then of course Norman Jewison, the director, he so sadly just passed away not long ago. But that first day when the first scene that you came out and they did, I don't know if you did it in order, but the first scene, did you know that you were going to have this lifetime relationship with these people?
Well, most of the people, all actors,
right,
dancers, singers, we'd all work together in other shows, you see. And Norman Jewison decided to take unknowns as opposed to big stars, because when Carl and I did our screen test together, he looked at it and boom. So 2-3 weeks later, he called and said, I want you guys to do it. And then he get to Israel, and he said, when I looked right at that thing, when you did that screen test, he said, I saw a natural, wonderful friendship between the two of you, and that was there. We'd known each other for years. And he said, but I didn't know who you were. So that's great. The audience, if they think that maybe that's the real people we're looking at here, you see.
Right.
So that was his choice, not ours.
Right.
He was going to get big stars because the studios had turned him down, saying that's no good. We don't want it.
But that shows the brilliance, correct?
Of Norman Jewison, absolutely. And we weren't there for a week before we all felt like we were stars. That's how he made us feel. Literally, magnificent man. And I can't tell you how much we miss him. But I know that Carl and Norman and Barry Denman, pilot, are all up there watching over us now.
Oh, yes.
That's why we get to do this with you.
That's all right. I'm certain of it as well. Barbara has a question.
So this is, playing Jesus is a really iconic role, obviously. Is there some way that it changed you personally?
Oh yeah,
over the years?
It made me much taller. No, but I came from a tiny Texas town, and church was pretty much the only kind of entertainment that we had. And my sister and my brother and I were in the church choir when we were kids, So we had a good background about what it was. But we had no idea that I would have the opportunity to go to Israel and walk in the footsteps of the people we were trained to be. Norman could have done it in any desert. But
Yeah.
he wanted us to feel that atmosphere was magnificent.
Now, I understand that when you go on these tours, you spend an incredible time with every fan, and I know that it means a lot to them. And I was wondering if you had any stories of people who had how that has affected them in their daily lives.
Oh, well, tonight they'll be crying when we do that, and I tried to sing a little bit of Roy Orbison's song to all of them. You know, I'll be crying. You know, we hug and we cry. You know, it's something that's compassionate, and we all embrace. And they call them Ted hugs. You know, again, it's something that is so wonderful, and we didn't know it was going to be released even. And then when it came out, here we are these many years later, and people are still loving every. People came last night and said, "That's by far the best print I've ever seen of this. It's just incredible." And then we do, thanks to Frank, have a brand new, beautiful print.
And the good news is, if people start crying, you have the TED tissues at the ready to catch the tears.
That's right.
Right? 2 for $7, by the way. And we take all major credit cards and Venmo.
And they're also available on tedneeley.com. I imagine.
Well, for now it's exclusive to the
Oh, okay.
screenings, but
Okay.
we'll see what happens.
Okay.
Christmas is around the corner.
So David, you were at on the set when this happened. This incredible
was,
thing
yeah.
happened. What was your respective? How did you look at this film being made? And
Well, I did a talk at a photo festival in Ireland a few years ago, and I looked it up, and Wikipedia made some amazing thing. It's quoting that I was 152 years old. And I
You
said,
look good for
Yeah, thank you. But I stood on the stage and I said, "Don't ever believe Wikipedia. I hung around with Jesus and the apostles in the deserts of Israel." You know, and it's like, oh, okay. So you're older, yeah, fine. But I did Fiddler on the Roof with Norman, and he came to me and said, "You have to do this." So I was at the tests with Ted and Carl, and I was so excited then about what they were performing, and just to hear the voices and hear the songs, and it was magic, and it's still magic to me. When you say about how sadly Norman's passed, he's in his 90s, and what a track record. What a gift he's left behind.
absolutely.
So he's achieved whatever he wanted to achieve, more than achieved it.
Yes.
Right.
You know, so it's history.
Yes.
This film will be history long after we've all gone.
Yes. I'm totally
And
agree.
it also proves to a lot of people in Hollywood, studio producers, they haven't got a clue what they're doing. No, to turn this down, come on.
Yes.
This is like, wow.
And in tribute,
Yes.
in tribute to Norman, when he passed away in January, TMZ always has the little breaking news things. The title was Jesus Christ Superstar Director Norman Jewison. I mean, obviously he,
Interesting.
it could have been Moonstruck, it could have been In the Heat of the Night, it could have been The Cincinnati Kid, Fiddler on the Roof, but they chose to put Jesus Christ Superstar.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Showing he is the ultimate superstar.
That's it.
And he did it because he fell in love with that first Brown album that came out. He listened to it, he thought it was wonderful, and he said, "I gotta make a film out of this, really." You know.
Yeah.
And Barry Dennen was in Fiddler on the Roof with the
Right.
pilot before, and Barry said it was so amazing because that's when he met Norman from Fiddler, and he mentioned to Barry that, "Well, I'm going to do a movie, A Superstar," and he said to Barry, he said, "Could you recommend anybody who might want to do pilot in that film?" They became buddies.
Now I know there's someone personal too that it was important that you met during the filming of that movie. You want to share who that person is?
Yeah, Caiaphas. Yeah. Well, it was so wonderful because Carl and I were pretty much on the set every day, all day, every day. So we didn't really have much time to, collaborate with anybody except for our scenes. And then one day, we had little technical problems with a couple of the cameras. So Norman said, "Guys, we're going to take a half hour, maybe an hour break. So just, hang out." And there were dancers there, and the whole cast was there. and we all got a chance to sit down and talk, you know. And I knew almost everybody because we'd worked together before. I didn't know the people who came in from Canada except for Rob Iscoe, who was the choreographer, you know. And I finally got a chance to sit and talk with the people. And there was just something fascinating about this one lady. You know, I wasn't over there to get a date, quite frankly. But I was blessed enough to be able to meet her, Leanne Granger, who's now Leanne Granger Neeley. And 52 years later, she's still putting up with me. And it's amazing to watch the film, and anytime we do these, people are all saying, which one's Leanne?
They're trying to point her out, right?
Yes, and I do. I said, oh, there's you. But there's that one spot in the middle of Simon's number, you know, where it's just the dancers when music. You can see her do these brilliant ballet high kicks, you know, like that. She's incredible. Black hair and a brown outfit, you know. You'll see her whenever you probably already know which one it is.
I do, we do.
I watch the film every year.
Fantastic. See?
I still look at photographs of Leanne from that scene, and I remember seeing at the time, I said, whoever gets this young lady is going to be really lucky.
Little did you know it was JC making the moves in the desert.
Yeah, exactly.
Leaving the footprints there.
Yeah. He had the power, the white robe and the hair. I mean, he got it. He
did have a little advantage here.
Yeah, he did, yeah, he did.
So I was curious, so you make the film, it's released, you think, okay, that was moving on. And then, you know, now 52 years later, you're still here. What brought everything back together?
It never really separated. Because Norman Jewison, again, like for example, he wrote the screenplay based on the lyrics of Tim Rice's songs. And so he didn't go in and do biblical research. He said, the story is Jesus Christ Superstar, so I'm going to make that film. Anyway, so the reason I give that as an example is he was almost, shall we say, damned by the studios because they said, no, nobody wants to see a rock opera movie, and especially if it's about religion. Norman, you're wasting your time. But he and his two buddies put it all together themselves. He could have shot it in any desert in the world. That's why he took us over there. Blah, 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 blah. It just, every day was a miracle. There was a new thing that would happen. And Barry Dennen was the only person in the entire cast who'd been in front of a film camera. None of us were known people at all. So, best example I can give you is when we came in the day he said, tomorrow we're going to have the costumes here. Try those on. It's not anything you're going to have dialogue, but he said, we're going to take pictures of everybody in groups. So we get there and see the costumes, and he says, okay, I want to do Jesus and the Apostles first, and you guys go have some fun, and when we're done, then it's your turn. So he lines all the apostles up in the positions. You know? He says, fellas, I just want you to know, since you haven't been in any films, when you're doing a film, what you hear the director say the most is action and cut. He said, so when I say action, hit your mark. And we were all dead silent. One of the guys stepped up and said, excuse me, Mr. Jewison, which one of us is Mark? And Mr. Jewison fell into the sand. He said, I love you guys, we're going to have the best time. He treated us like we'd been working together for years. So everything that you're talking about that you see came from that relationship that we all had together. Everybody fell in love with everybody.
Yes, and you know, I just want to talk about the music for a minute because that's such a big part of the movie.
It is.
You got the Tim Rice lyrics, and of course Andrew Lloyd Webber, who, you know, this is when he was really young. You know, he came back with Phantom many years later with another huge hit. How did that inspire you? All that wonderful, great music to during your performances.
Oh, all of us were blown away by it, you know. And the fact that we realized, because when we did the film, you know, the album had been out, the Brown album,
right,
around the world, and we're getting to be in this movie. This is incredible. And Norman, the first day we were there, he made all of us feel like we were working with the world's greatest person, plus the world's greatest director.
Yeah.
Never made any of us feel strange, not even once. He was always joking with everybody, you know.
Yeah.
So Norman Jewison, obviously without Tim and Andrew, there would have been none. But without Norman Jewison, with the studios the way they were looking at it, maybe it had never been a film.
But you know, you see now that fate had a play all along. That you know, you met your wife. That you know, you made this movie that no one wanted to invest in, no one wanted to make, and this director had a vision, and he knew he could pull it off.
Yes.
And I personally think when directors are that way with their cast, it shows that they're confident in their job, that they don't need to over direct in order to get what they need. I think they get much more from a cast, the way you described.
Yes. And if you can imagine, with us unknown, all of us, like when Carl and I would be doing something together, you know, we'd walk up and start talking about the sequence and the idea. He'd say, so how do you guys feel? What would you like to do? As opposed to, I want you to do that, and then you go over here. And it was always collaboration, you see.
Yes.
I don't think also, when you look at it, that any one of us, including Norman, thought that 50 odd years later we'd be sitting here talking about it.
I know.
Right.
I mean, the movies I've done, I don't talk about those 50 years later. You know, it's crazy.
Yeah.
It's amazing. It's wonderful.
No, putting these screenings on for 12 years and reuniting the cast and doing everything that we've been doing now that it's the farewell and we're saying goodbye, I can clearly say, seeing the audience and their reaction and being a fan of the movie in its original form, this is all Norman. I mean, he wrote the screenplay. The Brown album didn't have anything to do with buses going in Israel, or this was all his vision.
Yes.
And I really believe that his screenplay, and he put the screenplay together, having that ending where all the characters get back on the bus and leave except for one character, had that real Twilight Zone. You can cue the Twilight Zone theme now. Had a real Rod Serling Twilight Zone ending that has created this legend of Jesus Christ Superstar that the fans believe. You're the guy, right? And they really see it, and they watch it all the time and every year, and that's all Norman Jewison.
Yeah.
I mean, 100%. That wasn't, no offense to Andrew and Tim,
Right.
but that wasn't in the story.
No.
This was Norman's vision.
Yes.
So, and I think the Norman vision is what has kept this alive for so long.
Absolutely.
The music is incredible. That's all great.
Right.
But this film keeps on growing and growing and growing, and it has legs.
Yeah.
And that's very rare in Hollywood.
Yes.
I think I say, like I said, I watch it every year. We went way back. They would do like screenings like in Seal Beach. This was like in the 70s and 80s. So it actually was paired with Jonathan Livingston Seagull for one Easter. So we went and saw that. But when the video came out, so but there's still things that I watch and I go, oh, how did I miss that? The one thing I remember distinctly that it took a number of years was that closing shot. So you have the sunset,
crossing.
and then you have the shepherd and the sheep.
And that was not planned.
I know, but it was brilliant.
It happened. It just happened. I mean, the cameras, as you could see, were miles away,
Yeah.
so to speak, you see. And it was just there to see the crosses. That was it.
Yeah.
And we didn't even see it until we saw the first screening of it. Norman went, what? He didn't know.
It was just
It
incredible.
just,
But he was smart enough to keep it, right?
Oh, no
Yeah.
question.
Well, and if you want to hear exactly the story from Norman's own lips, this is the shameless plug part. Ted and I, fans have been coming up to us saying, "Why is Universal going to put out a documentary on the making of this movie? We love it," and there was no interest, so we did it ourselves. And the documentary is called Superstars, and it's available on Blu-ray or DVD at tedneeley.com. And if you don't do social media, you can go see it on Amazon Prime or Apple TV. You can stream it, and it is how the film was made, as told by the cast and Norman Jewison.
That's
So
incredible.
that, it came out in 2021, so it's been out for a few years. But if you're a fan of the movie, this will answer every question, including the question about the last scene.
And we had interviews all the time during it, and we've got those,
Right, right.
Yeah,
And-
I've seen that documentary. It's wonderful. Yeah.
And what a nice pairing to put them together. You want to have a little film festival at home, right? Just
Absolutely.
to watch the
Yeah.
documentary and watch the film, or probably watch the film first and then watch the documentary afterwards.
And we've I've listened to all the fans doing these things for 12 years, asking him questions about the movie. So I tried to answer every question in that documentary. So just watch a documentary. You'll have every way, every form, the whys and the hows, and it's all in there.
And Norman, they're interviewing him constantly, here he is. They'll ask him a question and he'll tell you how he got the idea.
That's incredible.
It's just remarkable.
But
It really is.
Also, what's incredible, that final scene, we had a bold blue skies for almost every day of production. We used to send out special effects guys to set off smoke into the sky, hopefully getting some texture. When they put Ted on the cross went up, the skies blackened, the wind got up, and when we wrapped, the skies cleared. And I'm sure that someone up there said to a shepherd, "Hey, get in there because that's what this needs." I mean, it was incredible. It was magic. The whole thing was magic. We just trundling around Israel to say, we were doing the final number, this superstar number, and there were jets regrouping over our head, and then a few minutes later, the ground would shake as they were dropping bombs on the Golden Heights.
Yeah.
And we were carrying on. Jesus Christ! It's like.
Yeah, and see, we did it right after the 6-Day War, allegedly completed. But they were bombing the whole time we were there. That they weren't bombing us because
Right.
we're in the desert. We don't have anything they want.
Right.
Constantly. And that's another thing that Norman said to the entire cast, because he said, well, the 6-Day War is supposed to be finished, but there goes another plane. He just said, I just want all of you to know that they're not going to bother us. That they're doing all these countries, so we're going to be okay. But he said, you must understand that I normally just say action and cut. You're going to hear me say, hit the dirt, because they're coming. We got to get out of the way. And that happened constantly.
Wow.
In fact, he, for the tanks and the jets come in,
Right.
that's all his idea. He went to the military and he said, I want to have tanks and jets in my film. And blah, blah. Well, we'll have to have a couple of generals to come out and check you what you're doing. A few days later, these two generals show up, the medals all over the place, dressed military, and there they were watching what we were doing. So when we had a break, I thought, I'm gonna go talk to these guys. I went over and we talked. It was very nice. They were very kind. Carl and I were together. And there was a little pause for a moment, and I took advantage. I said, well, could I ask you a question? Sure, what? I said, how is it that you can be in the middle of a war like this, and you can just stop and go check that movie out that's being made, and they didn't come and bomb us at the time you were standing there. Well, okay. He opened his pocket, the medal's pulled up, he got a pad out. So you see here, it says 6 a.m. bomb the Syrian border, 7:30 Jesus Christ Superstar. He said, we're military, we do what we're told.
And when those tanks appeared over the horizon, they were actually on border patrol. They just diverted, went through our set twice, and then went back to border patrol. It was totally
Perfect.
weird.
That is too funny. That
The
is
jets
too-
that flew back over probably went.
Yeah, no, the same thing. They went back to their patrol.
Well, we want everyone to know that this is a special farewell tour, and everyone has a chance to come and see Ted in person.
Oh, please.
So first of all, if you haven't already, go on tedneeley.com and sign up for the newsletter, right?
Yes, yes, please.
And the tour dates are on there. Now I know your next appointment, and Frank will get to discuss that too, is the autograph show, correct, in January?
Ted will be at the on January 10th and 11th at the Hollywood show in Burbank. And all the information, all the tickets and everything are at tedneeley.com. It's your one-stop shop. And we'll be doing this throughout 2025. I mean, we have a few dates already booked. Sedona, Arizona, and Tampa, New Jersey, Pennsylvania. Let me think of all the other ones. Go to tedneeley.com. Everything's there, and there's special VIP tickets. You know, there's a thing called the Platinum Ticket, and this is very unique to this, where the Platinum Ticket holders, there's only 2 available per screening, and they get to sit alongside Ted and watch the movie, and Ted can give them running commentary throughout the film. So it's a very unique experience,
Such a thrill.
and that's the first ones that sell out right away. So
And probably sing with them.
Yeah, we
sure,
do.
absolutely.
And we've already got requests into 3025. So
I'm not surprised.
it's a long-term retirement.
Now, I promised your wife I would mention cameo.com.
Oh, yeah.
That you're available as well for that.
Yeah, it's great.
To do some cameos
I
for
love it.
some people.
Yeah.
And now, if you're really lucky and you've got a big group of friends, you can have a private home screening. Frank, do you want to talk more about how
Please.
they can
Sure.
do for that?
Yeah. I mean, again, all the information is in the menu button for tedneeley.com. But you know, these aren't for everybody. But if you're so inclined, you want to have a bucket list experience. Ted can go to your home and watch the film in your living room or your family room or your home theater. And the cool thing about that one, which is a little bit different than the public one, is the folks who are putting this on, we give them the remote control to the Blu-ray.
Yeah.
So after a song, they can go pause and they can go, how'd you do that? Or what were you thinking at that point?
Yeah.
And it's a very interactive
It is.
thing, as you know, the one in the public, when we have 400, 500 people in this theater, it's kind of hard to pause a movie. But that's the difference with that. And it's a home experience, and folks make really cool things about it. It becomes a party. They have What's the Buzz cocktails and all this cool different stuff. So again, if you're interested in that, tedneeley.com, private screenings, and we're doing that throughout 2025 as well.
Yes, and the most recent one that we've done, there were 2 priests who came
Oh, how
to
fun.
an in-home screening. They were fans since they were children,
Wow.
Wow.
you know, and they just loved everything about it. Both of them were crying at the end of the film. Just,
Well, isn't that special? That's really
Oh.
special, right? When you can touch somebody whose actual career in life has been
Yeah.
dedicated to this. or
Yeah.
to-
yes,
to-
and
to-
one of those priests at the end of that, when we were getting ready to leave, he said, "Ted, would you do me a favor?" I said, "Anything." He had this cross that he wore, and beautiful, beautiful thing. He said, "Would you please kiss that?"
Aw.
Oh, wow.
I just fell on the floor right. Oh, and if I have the time to tell you something.
Absolutely.
Because I told you about the studios weren't interested. So Norman said, "I'm going to do it. I don't care. I'm going to do it." So when we finished it, he was starting to think about, well, if I don't have anybody that'll distribute this, what am I going to do? So he and Carl and I, we became such good friends. We were having a dinner the night after we finished the film in Israel, and we had a wonderful talk. And he said, I'd just like to know your opinion, guys, on something I'm trying to do about getting distribution. He said, since the studios said no to everything I wanted to do, I first was going to do big stars as the characters, but then you 2 auditioned, and I didn't know either one of you, and you impressed me so much with the character on it. Well, maybe that's the way I should do it, unknown people. See, so I did, and he said, "See, it's working." So I think the best way for me to get, people interested, if I could just get the Pope to sit down with me and watch the movie. If he says he hates it, I just want to get his opinion. So he did it. He says, okay, after it happened, he said, "Ted, I sit there right next to him, just the 2 of us, and watching the film." He said he never took his eyes off the screen the whole time. He was just staring at it. And he said, I got to thinking, well, he hates it. And he's trying to figure out how to be nice to tell me to get out of here and don't come back, I thought he was going to do what you did in the temple when you came in and went, "Get out!" Over that, He said, Mr. Jewison, if you don't mind, Norman, I love your film. I love everything about your film. The story, the music, everything is just so fascinating and inspiring. I will do anything I can to help you get this film in the theaters. And 2 days later, he was online telling people about this wonderful movie he just saw. Instantly, all the studios wanted to release it.
I've never heard of that. That's
Yeah,
wonderful.
he was able to get that together. So that shows you how dedicated he was to making this work.
And talk about the seal of approval.
Oh, are you kidding me? It was Pope Paul VI that
Yeah,
did that.
that's what I tried. I was going to go back on my
Yeah.
The most incredible thing about this story is how Pope Paul VI, is that right?
Yeah.
He could get online in 1973.
Yeah.
That's like a miracle in itself,
Yeah, that is.
right? I mean, that really is a miracle in
Yeah.
itself. So that's incredible. You learn something new every day, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, you know, the Pope has a lot of power.
It sure does.
Even a little time travel there. Well, gentlemen, thank you for such a wonderful interview. I really appreciate
It's over?
it. Huh? Yeah.
we can talk for nothing, but I think there's people out there that might be able to do that with us.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Come see